Well, anyway, Aunt Pat Crane, Bailey Crane, and she had been married to a Dufresne. The boys, her sons are all Dufresnes. Her maiden name is Bailey, I guess, and she married a Dufresne and had her sons, three sons. Then she married Uncle Bob, Robert Crane. He worked on the railway for years and years and years. And he passed away there last year. But we were on our way to Disney, so I don't even think Chris didn't even want to send a card. But anyway, I loved him. He had a religious nature to him. And some more pictures of the family. And the back step again. Nice house I had there. Yeah, man, right. So I only lived there with Chris in 98 to 2001. And then we just sold it to someone connected to the bank or whatever, That's a pathmate. We had one of those there, and we had just put in a whole path. We made the picnic table together, Chris and I, out of the leftover scraps of wood from the, rise up, shepherd, and follow, I suppose, right? But we're doing someone else's job for free, and now I'm left with nothing. And what the picture he shows to me is, you're forcing it up, but thank you, is I'm supposed to go and live over on the other end of Orleans, apparently, one of those military barracks that have been condemned because of mold, because no one else will. So if we put Linda there, we won't have to go ourselves, because we could be retired, but we're not, right, kind of thing. And, well, you're not military, but you are a chief scout. And so you leave Linda and take Emma, and, well, maybe she'll become a military bride. This is the newest one. And Linda won't have to know, because you'll take full custody, because Linda's mental. And we'll put Linda over in one of those military barracks, especially if we can get her mom put in a home and take the car and give it to, the 7 people who would like to have the car, because apparently our family doesn't require it. And enough, because we're not important enough. And Linda will go live in those military barracks, and, if someone beats her head in, they beat her head in, because all we have to do is get at her and make her say something to the wrong person, which is what we've been trying to do all along. But anyway, that's what I can hear. But now I want to go back and look at the pictures of a house that I nurtured and cared for, and it had a full brown fence all the way around it that was already there, because what a huge backyard. It was one of those 2-piece houses that they put together years ago. Like I said, I bought it for $38,000, and the bones of it was in perfect shape. I just needed the flooring, and the old fence looked horrible. But I got some brown stain. It probably should have been scraped and painted, but stain was so much cheaper. So I brought the dark brown stain. You hate brown, but it really works. And I stained the whole fence. One of the summers, the first summers I was there, and I used to go out and mow the lawn. I had a lawnmower, and not a lot of flowers, but Mr. Doomeresque, who lived just down the street from me, brought me up some of his lilies, and I had a whole little lily garden there, or whatever kind of flower they are, long grasses, I guess, decorative grasses. They weren't lilies, and I used to grow potatoes in the backyard before I met you, before my mom even came up. This is Richard's old Chevette. There's some story to it, but I don't know it. And this is the countertop that we had put in when my mom was there. The original white cupboards, the original cupboards, I painted them white and put the pretty little knobs on them over time while I was living there. And I had a blue countertop. I painted the countertop with some kind of blue paint that you could put on countertops. But when my mom moved in, when Ellis was up that summer doing some of our repairs, because he was living in Labrador, another one of these really great spiritual minds, doing some work, we had him up to do some work for us, and he put the countertop in also. And there's Sherry and Kyle at home in Florenceville. And there we are when we came up to visit Judy. I guess it wasn't in 98. It had to have been in 99. We were married a year. So that picture that I was showing before, that's in 1999. Now, I had ballooned up, like I said, from next to nothing to a whole new person. And these are pictures in Ottawa. We stopped in Quebec City. I don't know if it was on the way up or on the way back to visit Jeff and Isabel. And then we came to Ottawa. I was just embarrassed the whole time we were here, because I had never been. I had been to Montreal for French school and Quebec City for French school, but I had never been to Ottawa. And we were going around with Judy, and Judy had lost all her weight and still had it off. And I was wearing the only thing I could fit into anymore was I had to make myself a couple of these little jumpers, or your mom made them for me. And I was your size. It was like me carrying you around in my body. And we were sitting at an outside diner, I guess this one at one point, or one somewhere, with Judy and Jason, and I felt someone looking at me from a balcony in another building, and he was at me too, I guess, and well, he started crying, and I started crying. I couldn't stop, and this is when everything started happening with all the spirituality, because what I've ruined her. And he had. In any case, this book wasn't supposed to come next, so let me get out one of the number 7 from the wedding book. Well, this is when we went to our honeymoon. We stayed at the Hyatt Orlando in Orlando, because it was the best deal we could get. And it was just us. We didn't have a child with us. And I had never been. Chris's family had been to Disney World. My family never really went anywhere, but we were happy. And a good family. We went back and forth to my grandmother's, which is a lot of places actually on the farm there. And we went to the park and stuff. But we stayed at Hyatt Orlando, and this is the Hyatt Orlando. And we were given a bottle of wine. But all those stories you hear about someone coming in and using your toothbrush and, welcome to the wide world of AIDS and whatnot. I had heard all these stories before we went down, and I hadn't traveled a lot on my own, except on teachers' conferences. So I put the bottle of wine away when we came home, because someone at my head, which I always had, but just these were new people and I didn't know them. And, Tommy Lee and them were there. I mean, what was that? And so I put it away, and I actually poured it down the drain the other day, because say it does end up in, Chris's home where my daughter is, it's like he has this porn tape. I don't know where it is, but I'm just not okay with it being there, because someone, like the CC will get her to go and look at it. I just know it's inevitable. And so I poured the bottle of wine down, because what if there is poison in it, and saving it all those years, certainly it's rancid by now anyway, but she could die. It's things you don't think is a big deal, but I don't think you have much control. And here we are at the hotel. Spent a lot of time at the hotel. And oh, there we go. It's pretty there. I really shouldn't have started putting my hair up, because whatever it was probably Wicca, right? I mean, you're going Wicca. I didn't even know what Wicca was back then. Embarrassing. Disney World. Yeah. Well, there you go. I already subconsciously was trying to push myself back as far as I could to try and look good, but the minute I get out and have to walk again, I look pretty dumpy. I didn't say Carrie syndrome. There we go. Get all it. Well, this is an IT8. I almost didn't think that we'd ever take Emma, but we did. Chris wanted to go on the running trip. Most of his friends, they take separate honeymoons. They take separate, possibly, right? I mean, but I don't know how many of them were actual women. They take separate, statistically, if you look up their names, most of them are on sex change registries, and Chaz Bono's video. So, cruel joke against me or not. Not their own, of course. Oh, there goes the phone again. And so anyway, that's book 7. So they all take separate holidays. So he was going to go on his own, and I said, I just told him the truth. I'm not comfortable, because you'll call it that you'd never cheat on me and you never have a girlfriend, but you're going and running every weekend morning with one particular woman at a time, and it's always a woman. I mean, there's men there, and I said, why don't you run with so-and-so? And he just doesn't want to run with them. And, well, perhaps he's not actually sleeping with them, but a relationship to some men, I mean, if they're going to be direct by the definitions of relationships, once you're friends with psychologists and things, it would be actually involved and committed to a relationship. So if he's just having sexual intercourse with them, then I guess it's not a relationship and it's not cheating. I don't know for sure. But in any case, he's spending all his time with them and doesn't want me to run with him, and I offered to run. And well, he said, why don't I go in on my own sometime and run with the ladies? And, they're not very ladylike, and that's just my personal opinion. So I didn't feel like belonging to any of those groups. So, it's my own fault. But they all go on their own holidays, and I said I wasn't comfortable. So he said, all right, we'll take Emma. And then a year later, he was going to try and take her on his own. And I thought, well, for starters, you're going to be running. So you're going to leave a 10-year-old, 10 to 12-year-old alone with your friends. I'm overbearing for what? I don't know. I walk along behind her. I just keep an eye out for her. Take somebody else. He suggested 3 or 4 people, none of whom you know, some of them went on their own holidays and forgot to call for 4 or 5 days to check on their own children, and I had to watch them for them and keep in contact with who was looking after them. You know, I'm mental. So I went with him. But I guess if he gets custody, you know, when she chooses to be with him and they wipe custody over to him, or, you know, it's not even necessary, he'd be able to take her across the border all the time and do whatever it is he was really wanting to do with her. Marry her to a soldier or whatever, you know.